Well, welcome back. We're getting back to work here on Project Mockingbird. I'm working on cleaning some of the leftover seam sealer here in the firewall. So we're going to get this thing in epoxy primer, but it definitely needs some cleanup. After sandblasting, one of the negative things about media blasting is you have this material, it's in the car, and unfortunately you probably have it falling out of the car for the rest of its life. It's just one of the downfalls, but to me, not enough of a negative to say skip that step. I still think it's worth it. It gets all the rust, paint, crud, everything cleaned off. It's a perfect surface to put paint onto, great adhesion and corrosion protection. So, again, one of the negatives, do what you want with that information, but you need to get this thing cleaned up. So I came out here with my little spot blaster, doing a little cleanup here on some of the stuff that got missed. Again, it's a big project. I don't expect perfection, but I figure I'm this far into it, I touched up some of the spots that they missed. So next thing here for us, we're gonna get the old DRD out, and you can see what that is, and aiding in getting this stuff cleaned up. All right, let's get started. Now, cleaning all this crap out, start with some compressed air at the blow gun. We're going to work our way at the top and our way down, like the inside of the dash, the cowling, flush all the sand out the drains, out the side. Because right now, we got to get all that stuff cleaned up. And that's going to be the first step, get most of the big particles blown out of it. That's why it's outside the garage, not in the garage, because this stuff is a mess. Once that's all kind of blown out best you can, of these passages, now the floor, I would not recommend blowing all that out. It's just too much sand. This is where the DRD comes into play. I know it says shop vac, but this is more of a dirt recirculating device. Where I used to work at, part of our job was to vacuum out the interiors of the heavy equipment. Well, you can't run the air filters in, so it just blows dirt all over your buddy's bay. Well, that's why we started calling these old DRDs. You're going to need that. You're going to need a chunk of hose, and a little funnel seems to work pretty good. We'll get that all cleaned up. First things first, I'm going to blow some of this crap out of here and get it all come out the bottom. You can see this pile already starting to pile up down here. If you're just sandblasting, it comes out of the drain, out of the bottom of the cowling here. So if I knock on it, you can see it in the video or not, but there's sand falling out of this thing. So the goal is to get where there's no more loose sand or loose particles coming out of it here. Here's one of the stamped VINs here on the cowling, plain as day, and the other one's down here by the blower motor, so they're both intact and they match, so that's a good sign. So if you ever get one of the cars apart, there again, highlight those, you can really see them really good right now. And there is this pocket here, all kinds of crap normally comes flying out here. Even if you don't sandblast the car, you really should blow this out, because whenever you go to paint the car, there's kind of debris is all dumping out of there. So that's one of the things you want to clean out, even if not media blasting. A bunch of crap in there starts blowing around your paint job, don't make for a bad day. So I'll keep blowing the top part of the car out, then we'll get back inside here and start cleaning the inside. Now we got most of the stuff off the top side. Now it's just kind of down to using the vacuum to get the majority of this stuff out. But this is where this stuff kind of comes into play. You can get the bulk of it here. Check this out with the old DRD engaged. I'm going to do different now. You basically just watch me vacuum a car out, I know. But that's what this is for here. You can adapt this thing down. It gets into these tight areas where the tip won't fit in there. And if you need a little bit of an extension, slide the hose on the end, really reach into the hard to reach places. But even then, some of the stuff, there's still sand hiding under this panel. We're going to use a combination of the vacuum and the compressed air to kind of get it lifted up and then draw it all out. you know, this job kind of sucks. Besides that, I want you to see something. That looks pretty good now, right? That's only vacuuming, but there's a lot of stuff, especially on convertibles, that's hiding under this panel and this panel. How the heck do you get it out? Well, we got a couple choices, but check this out here. Running the vacuum at the same time comes in handy because look, it went everywhere again. So when I do it this way, it still goes places, but reduces how much just kind of flies in the air. Watch this. I don't have a big fountain of sand come out. That's this part. Still have this part as being a convertible. Guess what? Yeah, it's all filled inside over there with sand just the same. So you get the idea. All these cavities need to be blown out and vacuumed. One of the biggest ones that gets missed a whole lot is this back seat brace. It just piles up like a funnel. I've taken these cars apart that were sandblasted years ago. There's 2 or 3 inches of sand, which then holds one issue, which then amplifies the rest. So you need to get inside that area too, just the same. Inside the quarter panel, you need to get those cleaned out, but you get the idea. There we go. 3 hours later, playing with the DRD and some compressed air, got this thing clean. I can now blow air under the seat bases, the little convertible adapter, I guess, under the floor braces. No more sand flying out of those. Blew all the dash out. There's little crevices in here. So that's looking really good. Got the behind the back seat, the little A-frame thing here, all down in here. Like I said, it likes to wedge up and pile up all kinds of sand down in here. Same thing, blowing it out with the compressed air and then using the vacuum or the DRD to get that out of there. Got the inside of the quarter panels here, that all nice and cleaned up. No more sand laying in there like that. Trunk gutter cleaned out. Now, when it gets back here to the back, I probably should have showed it in the video, but take your vacuum, put it right about here, and take compressed air and blow it from this leading edge and keep blowing it back, and all the dirt comes flying out right back here, and you can suck the majority of it up. That way it gets all the stuff in the trunk drop off cleaned out and looking pretty good. And other areas that like to build up some sand is between, here's the tail panel. This is where the tail light bolts on. It's kind of a pocket in here. It likes to pile up sand in there too. And in between the trunk floor and the tail panel, same thing, that channel gets packed full. So blow it out with a bunch of air, looking pretty good. So I would say after 3 hours, about 3.5 hours of actually cleaning this thing out, it is now acceptable to go in to a place to get it properly painted in an environmentally sound location to spray epoxy primer. But even with that being said, if you miss a few pieces, it's okay. This is the floor pan. Most time it gets covered with carpet, never see it again, or we spray. I like to spray in lizard skin sound deadener. So if it has a few little bits of grits, that's okay. It won't hurt anything. Trunk floor, same thing, is cleaned up. I'll prime it, paint it, and even that spatter paint, all the aqua color and the gray, it'll hide any kind of small pieces of sand. Outside on the body, well, same thing. We're going to blow all that off, and I'm going to wipe it off, then paint it with epoxy primer. And then even then, if small bits of sand land that, we're going to sand that out. And you've probably seen when I did the Great Pumpkin and other cars, that's why I always talk about taping everything off when you go to paint your final paint job. It's not only to help prevent, the overspray getting places, but it also prevents dust or dirt from stirring up. So that's a must after sandblasting a car. But let's get this thing cleaned up, wiped down to the official paint booth, and get some epoxy on the Mockingbird. Ta-da! Just like that, all said and done. No more worries about rusting on my differential. The cast is all covered up with some epoxy primer, end to end, all sealed up. Still need to detail the brakes, few little things, but at this point now, I don't have to worry about that guy rusting whatsoever. Now, all I gotta do now, scuff it, paint it a 60% chassis black, and that'll be good to install. Then we'll detail out the backing plates, and then, of course, probably get a new diff cover. It's a little pitted up there, but even little letter stampings actually came out pretty clean. There's the R and the L and the axle tube. So I'm going to say that's pretty good for a New York car. Normally rust is a whole lot worse. So that's all cleaned up, ready to go. Body is all sealed up with epoxy. Looks real nice. It's just a gray epoxy primer. At this point now, I have a great foundation to do body work on. Now, there's many arguments or debates or what's the way to do it. Body filler, then primer, or primer, then body filler. I'm the kind of guy, I like to do primer first. There's many reasons, and I've done some studies. There really isn't any wrong answer here. I guess it's more, it's just personal preference. This is just how I like to do it. But at this point now, looks really good. And it's going to be a great start for finishing up the body work. But next thing here, we're actually going to take this car, flip it up on its side, get the underbody all prepped and So what's that mean? I'm going to dig my amazing car flipper out, get it mounted on this thing, flip it on its side, body work, clean up any last welds that need done in case I missed. Give the thing a good solid once-over, paint the underbody 60% gloss black, and install the fuel system. And then I'm going to need the engine and transmission. So lots of videos hopefully coming your way yet. Got a little bit of body work going to be popping up here pretty soon too, just the same. And I'm hoping to keep on moving pretty good here on Project Mockingbird because I really want to get this thing done because I have some more exciting projects I'd like to get onto, but I can only get so much done in a day. But nonetheless, appreciate you following me on the journey of Project Mockingbird, how to restore your car at home, or how not to maybe, or maybe learn something and I guess use it in the future, or maybe one of your builds. So nonetheless, I've rambled on enough, and we'll call it quits for today. I'm a little bit tired, a little bit hungry, and we'll catch you all next time.